The way things are now in culture makes it unwise to do church the way we did it back in the 1980s. We're in a new time. Most church leaders get that these days, and Mike Woodruff is one of those. He's the senior pastor at Christ Church in Chicagoland, and he and others have come up with a creative add-on to what they do. Stay tuned. The Stone Chapel Podcast is part of the Church Leaders Podcast Network. That network is dedicated to providing you with resources to help you navigate these treacherous cultural waters. You can learn more about that at ChurchLeaders.com/podcast network. Mike Woodruff is doing some creative things where he is, things which could be a model for other cities or towns across these great United States, and likely in other countries as well. One of those things is the Lake Light Institute. We're going to be talking about that today. So today, pastor, entrepreneur, writer, influencer, and all-around good guy, Mike Woodruff, today on the Stone Chapel Podcast.
My name is Mike Woodruff. I am the lead pastor at Christ Church, which has campuses north of Chicago, Lake Forest, Highland Park, Grays Lake, and Vernon Hills. And I chair both the Renew Communities Board and the Lake Light Institute Board. Sherry and I have 3 grown boys. We have a couple grandchildren. I grew up doing college ministry. I was a management consultant, had ongoing work. I've done a lot of writing. I've been involved with scholar leaders. And then, David, you and I met through Veritas Forum Young Leaders. Other than that, I'm the increasingly old, boring guy who is on sabbatical at the moment, which is great. One of the interns said that they really missed me. And I said, look, I'm under no illusions that anybody misses me. Certainly not the staff. I'm the old gas bag good. He's still gone for a few weeks. We don't have to put up with him.
Mike, welcome to our podcast today. This is the Stone Chapel Podcast. Thanks for being part of this.
Thank you. And I love the name in part because I've seen the Stone Chapel. And
you've been there.
It's memorable. I have been there. I sat there one afternoon early in my sabbatical trying to decompress and listen to the Lord and be a little bit more in a timeless space. So yes, I appreciate the Stone Chapel and all the work that the Lanier Enterprise is doing.
We're here today to talk about a ministry that you're a part of and that you're working with and you're raising money for. And it's a ministry called Lake Light Institute. Tell us a little bit about that and how it's kind of connected with your church.
Lake Light is a ministry that we started a couple years ago with the idea that what is missing in the modern world is sort of the timeless wisdom that should come to Christ followers, that comes out of Scripture. That the modern world moves very fast, and there's a lot of upsides to life today. There's a lot of benefits for sure, but a lot of people are moving too fast, and there's information, but information is not the same thing as knowledge, and knowledge is not the same thing as wisdom. And so we're trying to provide timeless wisdom for modern life. And so we arrange this through a variety of venues. Fellows program is the most intensive thing that we do. We require people to pay some money, and it's a 40-week commitment, and they're going to be reading long books and in long discussions every week with seminary professors and pastors and others. We have talks, we have classes, we have tours. I led a tour last summer to Oxford and Cambridge on C.S. Lewis. Got one coming up to Istanbul, more specifically to Nicaea. It's the 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea, and so we're going there and thinking about truth and Western Civ. So we've designed it with the idea that there needs to be a venue for people who want to slow down, be a little bit more reflective, do a little bit more work to round out their understanding of life and faith and the intersection of life and faith. faith and work, personal and cultural transformation and formation, all of those pieces.
Well, life is very busy now, and we do find ourselves neglecting the weightier parts of it in so many ways. So, who is this for? Are these people from your church? Are these people from the community?
We started Lake Light because we saw the need at Christ Church, but we saw the need beyond Christ Church. It's located at Christ Church, but it's a separate 501c3, and we have people who take our classes from all over the place, other churches nearby, but also people in Hawaii and people in Florida and people in Colorado. I do some Lake Light lectures. We call them Lake Light Live. And I have been doing some of those in Nashville and in Austin, Texas, and Seattle, Washington. And so some of it is for Christ Church folks, and it's very Christ Church centric. But a lot of other things are just resources we've been trying to make available to other churches or to Christians at other churches. It overlaps. The other way I could answer that question, David, is so I've been a pastor one way or the other for most of the last 35 years. And tragically, the bar keeps getting lower. And the things, when I started as a college pastor, I inherited a ministry, and we had all these students that were trained in inductive Bible study methods, and they were leading inductive Bible studies. And I watched this for a year and a half, and I'm like, okay, you know what? We need a little bit more policing of the borders here. Not everything that everybody is doing is good. Plus, I'm having a hard time trying to imagine training some of these people because they just don't know. There's a lot that they don't know. It's a little scary for them to be leading a Bible study. And over the course of the next 8 years, we just kept making it simpler and simpler. And I discovered one of the big publishing houses when I lamented this. They said, "Oh, you're idiot proofing the material." Yes, we're doing it to all our Bible studies. And then you get into these discussions where you realize that people don't really know who Abraham is, and they don't know who Paul is. The past was not as great as some people want to say it was, but you're getting people who just are much less biblically literate. So there's a sense in which, as a pastor, I have had to lower the bar. But there's another sense in which you say, well, some people have been a Christian for 35 years. And while some people, my frustration is you've been a Christian for 25 years, but you've done year one 25 years in a row. Like, you haven't gone to year 2 and year 3. You're not growing in that way. Other people have, and then they're very frustrated that the church it's light and it's, I'm not getting the meat that I need and I want to go deeper. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. That's not suggest that you go deeper by having a deeper, headier, more intellectually rigorous classroom experience. Mm-hmm. That's one aspect of growing and formation, but it's only one aspect. So we've tried to figure out how to create venues in which people have an opportunity to interact at a more mature level and get pushed and invited into deeper conversations and deeper experiences. And so that led us to say, let's create a venue in which we are going to do that and advertise it that way and take on topics that you were not ever going to take on a Sunday morning or even necessarily in a small group Bible study.
Is this event driven or is this web driven, publication driven?
Yeah, all the above. We have events. We have fellows, people who are going to commit to spending 3 hours Sunday afternoon for an academic year, reading and doing more rigorous work. We have tours. We have publications. We came out with our first book, designing it. I came to this kicking and screaming, but I agreed to write a book that somebody could read on a flight. So it's 90 pages. That rankles me a little bit. Like, I want to say, no, read it. You need to read a long book and you need to get the intellectual rigor back to do that. I've had people throw that in my face and say, well, you need to read Dostoevsky in Russian. And you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
So yes, the Cliff Notes on, I did just reread Crime and Punishment. I'm going to lead a book study on that. And again, that would be the kind of thing that Lake Light would do. We would say, hey, let's reflect on some of the Christian themes that Dostoevsky's trying to drive. Okay, I'm not going to preach on that because that's not scripture, but it's also not where we think our small groups need to be and other things. But we wanted to create a venue for people who wanted that. So it's events, it's publications, there's big web presence, lots of people take classes online, all of that.
So if people want to know where this is on the web, where would they need to go?
LakeLight.com. So just, one word, LakeLight.com will get you to our website, and you can see some of the things that we've got coming up. We've got a class. Kevin Van Hooser, Dr. Van Hooser, is going to teach a class on the person and work of Christ. I do a lot of interviews. We've got a talk coming up with Nancy Ortberg in a couple of weeks. We had Robert George from Princeton out for a longer discussion on freedom and Western Civ and higher ed. And so, yeah, those are the kinds of things, and you'll see it all on the website.
As I looked on the website, there's a lot there of people that I know, people like Colin Hansen, Peter Williams, Vince Baycoat, and others too that have been a part of this with you over the time. So down the road, do you see this as an ongoing work of the ministry of the church, or is this something that's eventually going to, in a way, break away, have its own energy, have its own focus, become more than local, become more national?
We've got a very gifted younger leader, Ben Dockery, who is the president of Lake Light. And I think that this is bigger than Christ Church. Now, the people who are at Christ Church will have more opportunities as Lake Light grows. But we're trying to be a resource to more than just our congregation for sure. And I could see it outgrowing the footprint that it's got right now. Ben and his team have done really good work because I chair the board. And so I'm watching this and involved in this. And as you said, raising money for this. I said, wow, Ben is setting up the chessboard. He is making early moves. When you actually understand what he's doing, it's like, oh, this is being positioned very strategically. And so I'm very bullish on Lake Light.
So he has a long game in mind, it sounds like.
We're in a crisis, as you know. Institutions are suffering. Trust is down across the board. And so the media and government and the church and big business and tech, every institution is being challenged.
Right.
Higher ed is, of course, being challenged. That doesn't mean institutions are not good things. They are, and we need good institutions. And so I'm saying, okay, let's build something that is playing the long game. So I think it'll be bigger than Christ Church. That's my prayer, and that's my effort to that end.
What I really appreciate as I read some of the material that you guys have created is how you are trying to fire the Christian imagination, get people to think bigger and broader and greater and grander along the way. And that includes what you mentioned about faith and work integration. As you mentioned earlier, that includes reading these great books, whether it's about politics or it's about literature or it's about media. And one of the things I was reading there and I was fascinated by is the dangerous arena we're in right now with technology and what technology is doing to us and how we've become so enthralled with it. And it's so much a cornerstone of our life. And yet we are missing some of the weightier things, the most important things along the way. But you guys, it seems like you're making a great contribution, so I applaud what you're doing. I'm hoping that to inspire other churches in other cities and communities to do something similar in their own environs. Not everyone is going to become a Lake Light, but at least they can realize what we can do more than just do first year Bible study and sermons. We can have something that goes deeper and more weighty and get people to think about loving God not only with their whole heart, but living God with their whole mind as well.
We want to be a resource for that. I mean, and there's a couple different ways that can play out. I mean, one is, yeah, look at us and copy it, do your own thing. I put out this Friday update. I say to pastors all the time, I'm going to send you this newsletter I send out. Plagiarize it at will, but you need something like this. Or you just send it out to your people. Use it however it serves you. So I could see other churches starting institutes like Lake Light. I could see a lot of other churches just saying, hey, you guys just had a class on C.S. Lewis. How could we do that class?
Yeah.
And you say, well, here's how we can help you. It could be a Lake Light class. It could be on your own. Let us help you do that. I taught a class on Lake Light. We've got a class on, Christianity and the arts. We've got a class coming up. We just did a survey of the Old Testament. We've got Dr. Van Hooser's teaching his second class on theology. We do a variety of different classes. And again, that's a venue.
Right.
That's one option among others. We had Jerry Root come in and do a talk on C.S. Lewis, which was invaluable. And this talk that Dr. George gave, I saw an Ivy League lawyer. I ran into him a couple days ago, and he says, hey, I listened to that Lake Light talk on Robert George because I've convened a bunch of attorneys. I've invited them to a luncheon. I'm just going to play that talk because it was so good. So we're trying to create those resources and put them out there and say to people, use them.
Come get them. Use them. That's a great gift. It's a great gift to the church, great gift also to the academy as well, which is what we hope to do here at the Lanier Theological Library. Mike Woodruff, thanks so much for being with us today on the Stone Chapel Podcast.
Thank you, David. Great to be with you.
Mike mentioned that he's been on sabbatical from his church in Chicago. We had the great fortune of awarding him a visiting fellowship at the Lanier Theological Library in Houston. He was here to connect and network and reflect and write and do some pastoral planning. If you're an academic or church leader, we have a number of cottages here on our campus and adjacent to our property where you can stay for free. Well, it's already paid for, I should say that. Some of the nicest places you'll ever see. If you have a writing project, a book, an article, or series of blog posts, if you're a musician and you need a place to think and reflect and write some music, we have a place like no other outside of Oxford or Cambridge. Send me an email at david.capes@lanierlibrary.org, and we'll send you an application to see if you and your project qualify. Now, we do plan ahead months, so don't wait until the last minute. Plan ahead. Thanks to our Houston-based team who help us with this podcast. They know who they are. Until next time, I'm David Capes. Thanks for listening.